maybe a mile west of El Reno. This is a pretty good storm right here. We got this cloud right here.
At 6:01 p.m., the first report of a tornado appears. When exactly this tornado actually touched down, however, is a little murky, as the actual base of the storm is enormous. Instead of a thin funnel emerging from the spinning clouds, dust began to swirl randomly underneath the entire storm. While currently weak, it's obvious that something big is about to happen. It's just a matter of when. At 6:03, a small funnel stretches to the ground before lifting back in the air.
Okay guys, I think that's a little close.
It's down. Down right behind the trees.
On the ground.
Another small funnel on the ground. We got multiple vortexes. Multi-vortexes.
It's moving away from us. We're good. We are in a perfect
Yeah, what about
spot.
lightning?
This is our first look at what is called a sub-vortex. You see, tornadoes are not exactly one single spiral into the air, but rather multiple strong vortices of wind spinning around a common center. Typically, these vortices are so close and similar in strength that they appear as one. But in this storm, the area of rotation is so large and has so much energy. These sub-vortices appear erratically and discretely under the base. Multiple smaller circulations converge and morph towards one main tornadic circulation, and the entire beast sways around unpredictably. If this isn't already confusing enough, the situation becomes more erratic as multiple instances of twins to even quadruplet tornadoes occur. The storm is currently moving at a moderate 20 miles per hour to the southeast. Remember this number for later. To the southeast of the storm, a tornado touring group called Tempest Tours, with multiple visitors, are watching the tornado. Mesmerized by it, the group's leaders are unaware of how close the actual tornado is, as the small subvortices dance around in random directions. In fact, the edge of the circulation is less than 3 minutes from them. The tour leader is watching the increasingly erratic vortices carefully. He expects to see the tornado moving from left to right, which would indicate the tornado is moving from west to east, the expected direction of motion. Instead, they see no motion. That's when they realize something terrifying. The tornado is moving directly towards the tour group. The tour leader immediately honks his horn to get the group back in the van. At this moment, they have less than 60 seconds to get out of the tornado's path.
Yeah, we gotta move. Get in now. Get in now. Yeah, get around now. Shut that door.
The tour group members jump into the vans, and the convoy bombs southwards to escape the tornado's path. Fortunately, they are able to outrun the vortex, a rare occurrence in comparison to others. The majority of chasers have positioned themselves to the south of the tornado. This is because, again, the tornado should be moving to the northeast, but because of the sudden southeast motion, they find themselves scrambling to get out of the way of the powerful circulation. Due to the hundreds of chasers, mobility is severely hindered as traffic jams begin to form. The hype caused by the active season has caused a backlog of chasers itching to get as close to the tornado as possible. This is a grave mistake, as that decision, combined with the erratic
Mendocino County in north central Keysota. Doppler radar indicated a tornado on the ground there. Doppler radar showed this tornado. 40 miles per hour. Fluid. Alkaloid. Heavy rainfall may hide this tornado, making it extremely difficult to see. Do not wait to see or hear the tornado. Take cover now. Take cover now. Move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. If you are outdoors, in a mobile home, or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris.
motion and structure of the tornado is creating one of the most dangerous environments around a tornado possible. Due east of the tornado at 6:09 p.m., storm chasers Brett Wright and Brandon Sullivan are watching the tornado only 3,000 yards away. The chaotic movement of the subvortices make it difficult to determine the movement of the tornado, but they assume the tornado is headed east to northeast. which would be essentially directly for them. Analyzing the situation, they decide the smartest possible thing to do would be to drive south, but this is a freak tornado, and the decision would place them in a deadly situation as winds begin to batter the vehicle.
Oh my gosh! Debris! Debris!
It's coming up! That whole thing's coming up!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Up through you.
Keep going, Andre. Keep going. Keep going. Why is this guy stopping?
Watch that car.
You may be confused as to why they waited until the tornado was so close to them, but the same illusion that almost killed the tour group has struck again, making the motion seem much less direct than usual. The wet roads and gusting winds mean their car is limited to max 40 miles per hour, a speed which is not at all fast enough to escape the massive growing wind field. As the strongest inflow winds feeding into the tornado strike them, a nearby farmhouse is torn apart, pelting their car with debris and shattering the windshield. They are just barely able to keep moving though, escaping the tornado by less than 40 seconds. At the same moment, exactly 1 mile north of Wright and Sullivan, the Twistex group is turning east onto Reno Road. Right now, the team is trying to get in the path of the intensifying tornado by paralleling the tornado from the north. Their hope is to outrace it, allowing them to drive south ahead of it. As they follow the tornado, they no longer see a collection of subvortices like earlier, but instead a giant wedge, a tornado that's wider than it is tall. This doesn't mean that there aren't extreme subvortices though. In fact, they are just hidden inside the dust and debris. The only way to see where the subvortices are now would be by actually looking inside the storm, which is precisely what the crew in control of a mobile radar truck are doing. What they observe is very rare. For most normal tornadoes, the rotating core of the storm will exact its power into a single point. But here, the mesocyclone is so powerful, multiple distinct rotations are forming within the circulation. The wind speeds and erratic motion are alarming to the people inside the radar truck. Less than half a mile behind the Twistex crew, Reed Timmer and Team Dominator are also following the tornado. Storm chaser Ray Bohack is filming from within one of the team's 3 storm chasing vehicles. Dominator 1, he captures the monster in front of them. The massive wedge tornado can be seen in the center of the screen, with Team Twistex just up ahead, right next to the tornado. Unknown to the team though, they're in a very dangerous location. The radar truck records another vortex form over the El Reno airport. This vortex sweeps just behind the team, when suddenly another vortex forms further to the southwest side of the wedge. Within the storm, there are now 3 or more visible vortices rotating around each other. The radar truck crew observes how the formation of these new tornadoes causes some crazy, unpredictable behavior. Here, the main wedge is pulled north by the forming vortex, lunging towards Reno Road, towards the Twistex crew. Inside Twistex's vehicle, Paul Samaras has a video camera and is capturing the encounter. While the footage they recorded is lost, the dialogue of the 3 crew members has been transcribed. Carl Young urges Tim to continue east to get ahead of the tornado.
We could pass it right now, Tim. It's no problem. Really. I mean, I have a clear shot.
But Tim realizes something's wrong.
We've got debris in the air. That's the problem.
As the wedge curves towards them, the outer bands begin to impact them, pelting the car with debris.
We've got to turn to the north. That's good. We're gonna follow it around to the north and get out of here.
They turn north onto Reformatory Road, battling 70-mile-per-hour winds feeding into the tornado. While this is happening, a civilian named Richard Henderson is also on Reno Road, just ahead of Twistex. He had watched the tornado touch down 10 minutes prior, where he had snapped an image of the forming tornado on his cell phone to send to a friend. Before he made a phone call, Henderson says,
"I'm having fun. I'm riding around chasing storms."
Henderson's friend expressed concern.
"You better stop doing that."
But Henderson kept chasing, continuing east on Reno Road. When the tornado made its launch north, Henderson kept pushing eastwards. The friend recalls hearing popping noises as debris hit Henderson's car. Soon, the call went dead. If the wedge keeps going north, both Twistex and Henderson won't just be hit by debris, but be directly struck by the violent tornado. In some miracle, the wedge decides to make a complete loop and begins to head south again. This sudden loop allowed Twistex to escape north, where they can turn west onto 10th Street to make another attempt at safely intercepting the tornado. The dark mass now deviates slightly to the east, and with this change in path, a change in speed. The tornado is no longer moving at the reasonable 20 miles per hour from the beginning of its life. Now, it's racing eastwards at more than 50 miles per hour. Any chaser east of the tornado now suddenly finds themselves escaping a deadly situation. There's a huge issue though. There are now potentially hundreds of chasers clogging the wet dirt roads, making it practically impossible to get out of the way. One chaser who finds himself stuck in the chaser traffic jam is Skip Talbot. He's in a group of chasers watching the storm approach from the intersection of 15th and Country Club Road. Up until now, dust has obscured the tornado from sight, except when lightning strikes briefly, illuminating the approaching circulation from behind. But even as the tornado closes, the heavy rain hides the chaotic Ferris wheel of vortices from sight. The group stays, waiting to gain a visual on the tornado. After all, the tornado is still about 2 miles away, but gradually, Talbot notices something unusual. He watches as the rain curtains sweep from left to right at increasingly fast speeds. The rain must be rushing around at more than 100 miles per hour. This triggers a sudden epiphany. The rain is the tornado. The entire area is starting to gain tornadic winds. The group makes the smart decision to scramble east. As they turn onto 15th Street, they join a bumper-to-bumper line of chasers, all running for their lives. Not everyone in this line is a chaser though. A couple minutes before, local resident Billy O'Neill and his son-in-law Jose Bonilla are watching the approaching tornado. Bonilla urges O'Neill to get into the neighbor's storm cellar, but he's too claustrophobic. Because of this, the pair decide to try and outrun the tornado in their car. They drive south towards 15th Street, where they see the line of chasers fleeing the approaching funnel. O'Neill stops and waves on the chasers, even as the tornado approaches closer and closer. Eventually, the last car passes, and they're able to turn onto 15th Street. But the tornado is moving way too fast. Unfortunately, there's no chance of escape. Ahead of them, they see a pickup truck turn south onto a dirt road. Inside is the driver, Dustin Heath Bridges, and passenger Wyatt Mindeman. They have both been caught in the storm whilst heading towards the nearby town of Yukon. O'Neill follows them in a last-ditch attempt to get out of the tornado's path. It's too late though. Power lines are brought down onto Bridges' truck, trapping both cars as the tornado overtakes them. Bonilla recalls, all the windows blew out. We started rolling. It was like slow motion. Both cars roll at least 150 yards before they come to a stop, right side up on a completely different road. Bonilla climbs out of their door and hears screaming from Bridges' pickup. He runs over to find Bridges hanging out at the door by his seatbelt. Mindeman is sat with a crushed leg, unable to help him. Bonilla rushes back to O'Neill to get help, but when he arrives, he realizes O'Neill has passed away. Bonilla grabs a piece of broken glass to cut Bridges free from his seatbelt. Paramedics soon descend on the scene, but when they arrive, Bridges has gone unresponsive. He and O'Neill are pronounced dead at the scene, the first deaths attributed to the tornado. 1 mile north on Reno Road, there is another line of chasers fleeing eastwards. The last person in this traffic is the previously mentioned Richard Henderson. Henderson was